This is a shed. But don't get too excited. It's just a shed. But this is a 12-volt mini split. And I just installed it on my shed. At the beginning of last summer, I made a video installing it on this boat that I lived on just outside of Quantico, Virginia for about a year. And that was one of the best decisions I could have made for my overall summer comfort. And after I left Quantico back here to North Carolina, I put it on top of this RV and it worked great, but I've since replaced it with a rooftop version. And for the last few months, it's just been sitting here on the floor of my shed. So a guy did the right thing and he installed it. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire process of installing it, and then we're going to see how fast it can cool down this shed. So let's get to it. So here's the outdoor unit. I am going to have to take the cover off and remount the wires, the power wires, which aren't back here yet, but here are the high and low side pressure lines and the little signal wire that goes to the interior unit. And like you saw, this is where it's going to be mounted. You know, all I've done is measured. So I put a tiny little hole, I think where the hole for my lines are going to be. And I do have the pass-through. So this little pass-through thing, that's what was on the roof of the RV. So I'm just going to reuse that. And that's going to go up against the wall. Put some screw holes in it. That should be pretty easy to do. And then I've marked where the stud is. So at least on this side, I'll find the stud. And it'll come down to about here, I think. So I'll have to measure and pre-drill the holes. These are the screws I got. I don't know what size they are. I'll try to grab the tag that's in the shed. These are the screws right here. And these little washers, I think these little rubber washers came with the unit. And then these are chair feet. So kind of like that step stool, the little bottom of it, if you got a chair that the little rubber feet falls off of. This is what you buy at Walmart. I looked at compressor isolators. They have kits of them on Amazon, and I just was at Walmart, and this was $5 or something. I can't remember. They're super cheap for a pack of 4. So I figure these will go on the other side of the unit to kind of isolate it, so it's got a little bit of rubber isolation, so it's not making as much noise against the wall of the shed. So I'll go inside and show you. Maybe I'll find the tag for this and where it's going to go. Sorry if it's a little dark in here, but I don't know if you can see the hole right there. There's a little hole. That's the hole I drilled out, knowing that's where my lines are going to come in. And then I do have to take that little white board down and put a board up there, and that's where it's going to go. So pretty simple. And then all my battery stuff is down here. And right now I've got 120 volt AC running off of not much solar coming in, but that 314 hour dump fume. And we are going to run this off of, we'll see what battery. I think we're going to do a bunch of tests off of this one. So as I walk and talk through the installation here, hopefully you'll have all the footage of what I'm doing, but it should be pretty simple. First thing I need to do is mark my holes. So I'm going to mark my holes, and I'm going to pre-drill the holes. And then after I pre-drill the holes, I will get this unit up in place and get it mounted to the wall. And once it's mounted to the wall, I'll take the cover off and I'll put the whip on there, the wire whip. So we've got wires. For these wires, there's a little cover, this cover here under this. And then these 2 screws are actually kind of tough to get to, but I've got this little angled tool, and that allows me to get right to it. So I'm going to put my power wires there and run them out over here and finish this up. Yeah, this upper screw is a little tricky. I just got a bit and I'm twisting it, but these do come with, most of these come with these wires pre-installed. So don't worry about what I'm doing here, because I've just been through it with these. And I've had this on the RV and had to put longer ones on, and no big deal. Yeah, I wanted to come in from the bottom, but I think it's going to stress it too much, stress the wire. So I'm going to come in from the side and install it so the wires aren't as stressed. I guess it will be, never mind. Since it's going to be curled up and in, don't worry about that. But pay attention on yours in case that's an issue for however you install it, because everyone's installation might be a little bit different. And then it's pretty simple after that. I've just got to get a 10mm socket. So on this side, on the outdoor unit, there is a threaded piece, and then there is a 10mm piece that goes into these lines. Then I'll run it inside. I'll put up a board on the inside, and that board will go inside, screw it to the wall. I've already got the board. Then I'll screw the interior unit on. That should be pretty easy, pretty standard. And then on the side of the interior unit is the block, the expansion valve, whatever the heck it's called. That block is there on the side of the unit, and that'll go up pretty easy. That's just a 1 Allen hex key. And then once all that is together, that should be pretty simple. Then I will get my gauges. And built on the side of these hoses on the outdoor unit are valves. Then I'll attach my gauge to the valve. I'll attach my vacuum pump and I'll vacuum the unit out. And then I'll hook up some Freon. I'll pump some Freon in and we'll turn it on. Sounds simple. I was able to say that in 1 minute and 43 seconds, but hopefully the footage looks as easy as what I just said. Well, that's the installation. You know, it's on the back of a shed, so that is what it is. We are holding at almost -30 PSI. That's great. I'll let that sit for about 15 minutes, and then this is what I did last time. First time I used the gauges, last time I used this. I'm just gonna hook that right up, fire the shot in there until it's in the green. It should take both of those, and then we should be good to go. So a few things before I shoot some Freon in here. This is the 3rd time I've installed this. I've talked about this thing in my other videos. This was the cheapest one I could find. It also had free delivery, so it was like $3.50 when I bought it on Walmart, Walmart.com. It was a FGO to go brand. That brand pops up every now and then, but it's been not available for a long time. There are others like it. I have an Amazon one that I put in the description that's very similar. It's like $4.50 now, $400. So there are a few out there, and they're all pretty much the same. But one trick here before I shoot the Freon in here. The first time I installed it, well, watch your O-rings. I had to go buy an O-ring set from AutoZone because I ripped the O-ring on it. And it was just late into the night I was working to try to get this thing. And I figured out that I screwed up and I did the O-ring. And then I thought something else was wrong again. When you take the gauges off, you're at 30. You can pull a -30 vacuum, but you'll hear a hiss out of the low side. And I switched out the Schrader once and still have the problem, but it stops at -20. So these Schraders are set at like -20. So it'll pull in the slightest amount of atmosphere, like less than 0.0, 0.1, whatever, from -30 to -20. It's less than -30. It was like -22 and probably like -28, whatever. It did that, but it was fine every other time. So what I'm going to do first is shoot the first bottle in, let that go, and then I'll go turn it on so that the vacuum can pull in my first bottle, or as much of my first bottle as possible. And then we'll turn the system on so it's not trying to run with nothing in it. And these are just cheap Walmart cans. Last time I put oil in it because I felt it leaked a little bit. This time nothing leaked out. There wasn't oil everywhere, so I'm not going to put more oil in it this time. Go inside and turn it on. Compressor's already on. Basically turn right on. Ooh, it's cold. Well, this gauge is reading 50, but this thing should take 2 cans. Let's go inside and check it out. Hey guys, before we go back inside, show you whether I failed miserably or if the AC is actually going to cool the shed, I wanted to show you something that a company sent over to me. That's actually my first solar generator, solar power station. This is the EB500 from a company called EBL, and they He sent me this cool hat, but I'm not a hat guy. This is the 500 watt model with a surge capacity of up to 1,000 watts. These guys make some much bigger units, so if you need a larger unit that's a little more expensive, check it out. This one right now retails on Amazon for under $200. Throw in another $100 and you can get a 100-watt solar panel in the kit. So don't forget to check them out. Links will be in the description. What they also sent me was a box of goodies because EBL is known for not just their charging stations, but their rechargeable batteries. So they sent me this little rechargeable battery pack, some rechargeable AA batteries, and some rechargeable AAA batteries that I think might go in the RV and our remotes that have batteries that are always dying. But this is a really cool unit. It's an all-in-one solar generator. I used a 100 amp hour battery and I used an inverter to make my own, but this has everything all in one and it accepts solar power. So it comes with the box and everything you see here. So it does have a 12-volt charging cord and it charges right down here. It's got 110 volts. You can plug it into the wall and charge it. And then what makes this even more awesome is it has MC4 connectors and the charging cable. So you can plug this right into a solar panel up to 120 watts and 26 volts. So you can charge it right off the solar panel and pump this thing right up. And it also comes with a really cool bag. So I'm going to go ahead and connect a whole bunch of stuff to this and show you the features and walk through it real quick and show you what I'm going to use it for. And then we'll get back to the video in a second. All right, so I've got a whole bunch of stuff connected. I'm going to power it up and we're going to see how much power all of these things will use. So you can turn on the DC outputs, you can turn on the USB outputs, and you can turn on the AC outputs. So they have all got their own button, but you got to turn the power on first. So my portable refrigerator set to 32 degrees. That's on and cooling. This laptop is currently charging. We've got our T-Mobile home internet hotspot is on. I'm charging the AA batteries that they sent me with their little battery charger. So we're using a little something out of every single port that this has. Also, I've got my phone. It's a little bit tricky, especially if you got the magnet case. But there we go. My phone is charging and you got to push the USB button to charge your phone. But it's got a light over here on the side. But I'm not outputting all that much power since none of these take up a ton of power. But this is a great scenario if you were, if you had a power outage. We have a big storm roll through last night. Other parts of our town are without power. But right now, if I needed to, we could be running the laptop. We could be running our mobile internet. We could be powering all this. And it's only pulling 23 watts and barely pulling this battery down. But the features obviously include the 12-volt output like I talked about. You've got 3 standard USB and 1 USB-C port. And they're USB 3.0 and 80-watt USB-C. You've got 2 AC outlet plugs, and then you have the PV input Anderson cable plug as well. So not just this plug, but you've got the PV Anderson cable connection. So if you've got your standard solar panel, again, 12 to 28 volts, up to 120 watts, then you can go ahead and plug that into there, and it's going to give you the PV input separate from the cable that they give you. But yeah, it's built really well. It's got these really thick rubber bumpers to protect it, but it's a pretty cool little unit. And I have something coming up that I really want to use this on. So you'll see it again in the future. But let's get back to the shed and let's see if my 12-volt air conditioner is working. Well, it's cool, but it's not cold. I'm getting 68 degrees, 70 off the coil. I don't know if that's a good reading. I've gotten upper 30s, lower 40s from this thing before. So let's turn it on high and try it again. I'll say don't let this gauge scare you. I just went ahead and shot the second hole can in there and it stayed and then actually dropped below 50. I can already tell you that just walking in, it's starting to get cold. I can feel it even colder than before. What do we got here? 54 degrees, 53. So, yeah, it's doing good. 52, 51. 50, 49, 48. We're in the 40s, boys and girls. I don't have any battery monitor on this one, and it almost feels like this one is going to do better than that one. All right, it's the next day, and we are going to run a test. It's currently 86 degrees outside, and the bottom number is the only one that matters on this, but it is 89 degrees in here. So it's 89 degrees in here. I've got it connected to a full battery. We're going to start it. I'm going to run it for an hour, and we're going to see how much cooler it gets in here, how much battery it uses, and that's just a 100 amp hour, 12 volt lithium ion battery. So we're at 16 degrees Celsius. We'll go fan 4 out of 5, sure. And we'll monitor this thing, see in an hour if it does cool this room down, this shed down, and how well it does. For this shed, obviously, the walls are not insulated. I just freshly insulated the ceiling, which is the worst part. So it's got to work. It's got to work hard. Just for reference, we are at full power. We're not on max. We're not on, I call it Hercules. We're not on max. We're not on eco. We are on standard full power, and we're pulling 750 watts at 58 amps. This Nudie power is connected to nothing. Just has a fuse, and it goes straight to the unit. So we're fused directly to the unit, not connected to anything else. The battery and solar is all running on its own. So I'm not running this off of solar. We are just testing the battery and the cooling power. We'll run solar tests and how long it can run at a different time. So it's been exactly 1 hour. I can feel it's colder in here, but I have not actually looked at the thermometer yet. So we're going to find out together if it's no longer 89 degrees in here. And it's 86. 86 there at the bottom. So it's dropped at 4 degrees, and it's actually more comfortable. I think it's taking a lot of humidity out of the air. This is our bucket of condensation. So I'll figure out a more permanent solution for condensate, but let's check some other things here real quick. So 60 degrees is the lowest I've gotten so far. 59. But there's a lot of water condensate running across these coils, so it's hard to get a good reading. But she's cooling pretty well. But it says it's used half of the battery, still at 600 watts and 49 amps. This thing is going to pull a lot of power. So I think I've gotten this thing to run 2.5 or 3 hours. When it was in the boat and I ran a test on the battery, and it pulled down from, it was like 98 degrees when I got in the boat, but it's a much smaller area. So I ran for like 3.5 hours because I was able to quickly cool and then keep cool that area. Again, this is much larger. This is a 12 by 12 shed. There is no insulation in the walls. The gable vent over there is open, so it's got to work hard. So that battery is getting a workout. Our cables they're warm, but I can touch them. Not too bad. It has been nonstop at almost 800 watts for an hour, and it's probably going to have to keep doing that for another hour. That's the full installation of this, and just a quick test of 100 amp hour battery, running it for an hour, seeing how it can cool this space. But even at 86 degrees compared to outside, it definitely feels cooler than outside now. There's a slight breeze outside that did feel cooler before, but not anymore. It feels cooler in here now. And with no humidity, it's actually comfortable. I could sit in here, potentially with this thing blowing on me, and actually do work and make videos and put up lights and switch over some stuff, because I've got quite a few things that I need to get taken care of over here. I've got a new MPPT charge controller. I want to test those side by side. I've got another inverter. So I want to test a few things. I've got a few things to do. So stick around. We're going to find out how long this thing can run on my 700 watts of solar. I may get 400 more watts and one of these batteries. I might get another 300 amp hour battery and run them in parallel and just see if I can't run this thing for days and days on end, and really see how much solar it takes to run a 12 volt air conditioner. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Catch you on the next one.